Good evening, you're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Joanna Ho. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. A computer malfunction delays dozens of flights, prompting the airport authority to apologize. A man suspected of killing a woman during a burglary flees to Japan, according to sources. And the government plans to deter job hopping by foreign domestic helpers. The airport authority has apologized after dozens of flights were delayed because of a computer glitch. Thousands of travelers only learned about the disruption when they arrived at the airport. Joanna Ho reports.
Thousands of travelers were disappointed when they were unable to fly out of Hong Kong on time because of a computer glitch. During a regular testing operation, a malfunction was found in the check-in system between aisles A and E in the Southern Departure Hall. Most of the disrupted flights were operated by the city's flag carrier, Cathay Pacific. The delays ranged from a few minutes to an hour. The airport authority's website shows that most of the flights were disrupted for at least 20 minutes. Travelers said there were no signs or announcements to warn them. They only learned about flight delays when they checked in. This man was queuing to check in for a flight to Manila when he was told an hour before the scheduled time to wait for further arrangements. But when he reached the counter, he learned that his flight had already left. This man, who was traveling on Cathay, also had his travel plans disrupted. Once I knew about the delay, I immediately cancelled all the transportation bookings that I made in Manila, he said. This woman was luckier as her carrier notified her about the delay in advance. But she believes the airport authority could have done a better job. We had no idea what was going on, she complained. The airline gave no details, and I only found out from the news. The authority apologized for the inconvenience and said normal services resumed fully by 9:15 a.m. Meeting the press this evening, Airport Authority Executive Stephen Yu said the computer system was found to be unstable at 5 a.m. and the system had to be rebooted. He added that all airlines were notified by 6 a.m. Joanna Ho, HKIBC.
The Hong Kong Bar Association will travel to Beijing next month for the first time in 5 years. Chairman Victor Dawes said the 20-member delegation will visit legal institutions, including the Legislative Affairs Commission of the National People's Congress. The delegates will discuss the challenges Hong Kong's legal professionals face on several issues, including the national security law. The visit is seen as an icebreaker after such trips were frozen since 2018, when the association was chaired by Philip Dykes and his successor Paul Harris, who had conflicting views with Beijing over the national security law. Dawes said he has been assured by Xia Baolong, director of the Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office, that an independent bar is a crucial part of the city's common law system. The man suspected of killing an elderly woman during a burglary is said to have fled to Japan. Tokyo does not have an extradition treaty with Hong Kong, but under an agreement, both sides have pledged to cooperate to investigate crimes. Macy Mock reports.
Behind this door is the apartment where a 63-year-old woman, surnamed Leung, was killed on Tuesday when she returned home and caught a burglar red-handed. In tribute to her, neighbors of Block 3 Kwai Fong Terrace placed a lighted candle on the floor and a bouquet of flowers at the gate. I still cannot believe it, said Lau Kai-on, chairman of Kwai Fong Terrace Owners Association. He has known Leung for over 13 years, and both were active in the Owners Association, in which Leung had been the treasurer. More details have now emerged about the suspect. A day after police said he and the victim knew each other, sources identified the man as the boyfriend of a daughter of Leung's neighbor. The man, who is believed to be in debt, entered Leung's flat with a spare key she left with her neighbor. He is said to have fled to Japan after battering Leung on the head with a crowbar. Police refused to comment. Japan does not have an extradition treaty with Hong Kong, according to Tokyo's Ministry of Justice, but it can extradite fugitives if the request by an overseas government meets its legal requirements. Japan, however, will not entertain requests involving political offenses or for crimes where the jail term is under 3 years, or if the wanted person is a Japanese national. The Ministry of Justice said if the fugitive has not been convicted, the requesting jurisdiction should show probable cause. Although Japan and Hong Kong have no extradition treaty, they have agreed to help investigate and prosecute a crime. Maisie Mock, HKIBC.
Foreign Minister Qin Gang has pledged to continue helping Hong Kong deal with diplomatic affairs. This morning, Qin met Chief Executive John Lee, who is visiting Beijing for talks with senior officials. Lee thanked the Foreign Ministry for supporting the SAR, counter foreign interference, and safeguard the one country, two systems principle. Hong Kong's leader and his entourage also went to the Ministry of Education. Lee began the day by having breakfast with the director of Hong Kong's office in Beijing, Rex Zhang. They were joined by Mainland Affairs Chief Eric Tsang before the group visited a market. The government is aiming to amend a code of practice in a bid to stop foreign domestic helpers from job hopping. This follows complaints by employers whose helpers left them during the pandemic to earn more money elsewhere. In a paper submitted to the Legislative Council today, the Labor Department noted the concerns of employers whose foreign domestic helpers changed jobs in mid-contract. Job hopping increased during COVID when there was a big demand for helpers. The department says the situation has improved, but it proposes to revise the code of practice for employment agencies. They will have to explain to helpers that an application for changing employers in Hong Kong within the 2-year contract period will not be approved unless there are exceptional circumstances. These include the employer migrating or if the worker has been abused. A helper who wants to work for a new employer must leave Hong Kong and submit a fresh visa application. But the application will be refused if there is evidence that the helper is job hopping. Agencies must also not encourage job hopping, such as by inducing helpers to terminate their contract prematurely with the offer of monetary incentives. An 8-week public consultation will begin next Tuesday, when lawmakers on the Manpower Panel will discuss the proposals. Overseas, self-exiled Chinese businessman Guo Wengui has been arrested in New York for fraud involving over $1 billion. The billionaire and his financier Qin Mingjie were charged with 11 counts, including securities and bank fraud. Guo pleaded not guilty but was denied bail. He is accused of promising thousands of people huge returns on their investments, but used most of the money to fund a lavish lifestyle. The 52-year-old is a staunch critic of China's Communist Party and is close to Steve Bannon, who was once an advisor to former U.S. President Donald Trump. Guo left China in 2014 after being accused of money laundering and has applied for asylum in the U.S. A court in Pakistan has barred police from approaching the home of former Prime Minister Imran Khan for another day. Khan's supporters celebrated outside his home in Lahore when the court first intervened yesterday to stop clashes which injured scores of loyalists and police. The two sides fought pitched battles when officers tried to arrest Khan. He has said he will appear in court on Saturday. Khan has accused the current government of colluding with the military and the United States in his ouster a year ago. Credit Suisse is borrowing up to $54 billion from Switzerland's central bank following a slump in its share price. The shares went on a negative spiral after its biggest shareholder was unable to inject more cash because of curbs on its stake. Credit Suisse shares plunged 24% overnight, triggering fears that global financial markets may crash. The central bank bailout restored some confidence, and the lender stocks jumped 22% in early trading this evening. Hong Kong's unemployment has fallen to its lowest level in more than 3 years as the economy continues to pick up. The jobless rate now stands at 3.3%. Chloe Feng reports.
The latest job market figures indicate that Hong Kong is well on the road towards recovery. The unemployment rate for December to February fell for the 10th three-month period in a row, easing by 0.1% to 3.3%. The rate, which is in line with market expectations, is the lowest since December 2019. The number of unemployed people fell by 2,700 to 115,700. But total employment declined by about 12,000 to 3.6 million, while the labor force shrank by 14,600 to 3.7 million. The consumption and tourism-related sectors, including retail, accommodation, and food services, continued to see notable declines. The entertainment and transport industries also improved. Labor Chief Chris Son expects the labor market to keep improving as economic activity returns to normal. His department has been operating recruitment centers for the catering and retail industries in Chengsha 1, and 2 large-scale job fairs will be held at the Convention and Exhibition Center in 2 weeks' time. Chloe Feng, HKIBC.
Now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng Index closed down 335 points. To the top 10 active stocks, Tencent was down $8.60, Alibaba down $1.55. Ping An down $1.75, Tracker Fund down 35 cents. To the forex trading against the Hong Kong dollar, euros at 8.32, pounds at 9.45, and Australian dollar at 5.21. Over to the UK market, FTSE 100 is up 55 points. On to the weather now. Expect light rain patches in between cloudy and sunny intervals tomorrow. Temperatures will range between 20 and 25 degrees, even warmer on Saturday with a high of 27 degrees. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for Thursday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Joanna Ho. Good night.